Breaking down the Vikings from the perspective of a former NFL General Manager of the Year. It's Jeff Diamond's Purple Report. Presented by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers.
Welcome to Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, brought to you every Monday during the Viking season by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers on 1500 ESPN and available 24/7 on YouTube via links from the 1500 ESPN and Score North websites. I'm Jeff Diamond, former Vikings GM, former Tennessee Titans president. Our producer is AJ Fredrickson and does a great job putting the show together. And AJ, the Vikings are off the schneid. They got win number 1 in Carolina against the Panthers. Panthers aren't a great team, but hey, the Vikings will take it any way they can get it in the NFL, and it wasn't easy again yesterday.
No, is it fair to say it's about time? The 3 weeks prior to this have been just so painful to watch. They've been shooting themselves in the foot. They've gotten so close against the Chargers. I know it's the Panthers, and I know it probably should have been a more decisive win, but I will take it at this point because now they can start building in the right direction. Yeah,
that's exactly right. You'll take any win you can get in the NFL, especially on the road, and the Vikings now sitting at 1-3, 2 games behind the Lions in the NFC North. The Lions off that big win over the Packers last Thursday night, and the Lions have the Panthers coming in this week, so you figure they're going to get to 4-1 going into Detroit. The Packers will be on Monday night against the Raiders, which will be a tough test. The Packers are all beat up on their offensive line. The 2 All-Pros are not playing, Bakhtiari and Jenkins. So Green Bay's got some issues. Detroit is cruising along pretty well, but they've got a couple tough weeks coming up ahead. They got to go to Baltimore and Tampa Bay after this game against Carolina, so they'll have a couple road trips. And meanwhile, the Vikings will entertain a certain team from the AFC West, defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, and that's going to be a great atmosphere at U.S. Bank Stadium on Sunday. A late start at 3:25. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, perhaps his famous girlfriend, Taylor Swift, will be here since she loves Minnesota so much. We'll see. But regardless, it's going to be a great atmosphere, and I think Viking fans will be fired up after the team got their first win. And the way they got that first win was kind of interesting and a little bit old school, I would call it, because they really rode a revived defense and a revived running game, and not necessarily their superstar passing game quarterback receiver duo, even though Justin Jefferson still had another good game, 6 catches, 2 touchdown passes. But Kirk Cousins, he was kind of bad yesterday, and it started out early with that pick 6. But the defense rose up, made the big game-changing play. Harrison Smith, who obviously a multi-Pro Bowl player, probably a future Hall of Fame safety, but had not really done much the first few weeks of the season in terms of impact plays. But certainly in Carolina, he was the big play guy on the Vikings defense, made the biggest play of the game, that I think the biggest play of their season thus far, with the strip sack in the third quarter, which we're going to see shortly on our highlights. And I think they also got kind of a good spark from a couple of newcomers, shall we say, in terms of Marcus Davenport on defense. And we've been hearing a lot about Marcus Davenport all through the offseason, the big free agent signing, $13 million one-year deal. It had been hurt last year, came in here. He misses the first 3 games with an ankle injury, finally gets on the field against Carolina, and really has an impactful performance, has a sack, a couple pressures, and was a big part of the running game defense that looked better against Carolina, a team that wants to run the ball with a rookie quarterback, Bryce Young. So Davenport made an impact. They got to keep him healthy. Obviously got to keep Danielle Hunter healthy. Yeah. And Cam Akers was another guy who I thought surprisingly really looked good for being in this offense just a short time. I like Ty Chandler, but Akers is a little thicker, shall we say, but a very smooth runner and kind of a good change of pace from Alexander Mattison. And to have Ty Chandler also, I think that gives you 3 good running backs, because backs are going to get nicked during the season. And Akers was very impressive in his debut with the Vikings, 40 yards rushing, couple catches that we're going to see. So all bodes well going forward for the Vikings, but they have a huge test against Kansas City this week. So let's go to our highlights, AJ.
All right.
And courtesy of Fox, and Alex Faust and Brady Quinn were on the call. And first drive for the Vikings started really good, moving the ball down the field, get down in the red zone inside the 10. Cousins throws a touchdown pass to Jefferson. Oops, called back. A hold on Josh Oliver, who actually was pretty good in the running game, especially. Kevin O'Connell pointed him out in his media session today for his run blocking. But in this particular case, he had a hold that nullified a Jefferson's touchdown, which would have been his third on the game. But it was fouled shortly after by this disaster play.
Hawkinson to the wide side of the field. Cousins throws, picked off, and it could be trouble up the far sideline. Sam Franklin from the 1-yard line. Cousins trying to track him down. He'll cut it back, get a block, and he'll go 99 yards for the score.
Wow. You could just see Kirk kind of double clutch, wait too long to make that throw. Bad read, bad decision on his part. Osborne was open early if he got it out there early, or if he waited a little bit. Hawkinson was coming free over the middle, but just a really bad play for a veteran 12-year vet quarterback to make that decision and that read in that situation. Puts the Vikings down early, and then they got down 10-0, and things not looking good. But then they generated a drive, and they were moving the ball decent during the game. Not overwhelmingly great, but running the ball effectively with Madison and Akers that helped the offense on a day when Cousins was not sharp. But in this particular case, a 3rd-and-1 play, Cousins rolls out and hits Jefferson for a touchdown.
Red zone, that 99-yard pick six. Cousins play action being chased down. Cousins looking, throwing, caught for the touchdown. Justin Jefferson.
So a 10-7 game at that point. And the Vikings, again, are moving the ball. Looks like things are heading in the right direction. And then Ed Ingram, and we've talked about him a lot on this show.
Not always in the best light either.
No, exactly. And Ed is actually a pretty good run blocker, decent in the run game, just not great in pass protection. And here was another instance where he gets beat inside, and Cousins' arm is hit as he's getting ready to throw.
From the 21, Cousins in as he throws, up for grabs, intercepted. Kamu Grugier-Hill up near midfield, and the second turnover for the Vikings this afternoon.
Now, Jeff, you mentioned before that Ed Ingram is a very solid run blocker, but maybe not a pass blocker. For maybe the more casual football fans out there, can you explain why there is a difference, that a guy can be great in one aspect but maybe not the other?
Yeah, I think a run blocker, it's more of a grinding power move and pushing straight ahead and using your strength, whereas in pass protection, you got to have the quick feet, the agility to be able to pick up the rushers, and you may be going against a lighter guy inside on occasion. Or some great defensive tackles, such as we've seen with guys like Dexter Lawrence and the Giants. Chris Jones, a great example with the Chiefs. They're all pro tackle. And so, yeah, I'm very anxious to see Dalton Reisner, the recent guard that they picked up, the ex-Bronco, to see what he can do when he has his opportunity. I think that it will help the offensive line, and obviously getting Garrett Bradbury will be helpful too. Schultman is doing the best he can, and he's doing okay in the running game, but again, pass protection, an issue for him. So the Vikings, after that second Cousins interception, his 7th turnover of the season, which has got to stop because it's not sustainable for the Vikings to have a winning season, a playoff season, if their quarterback is turning it over that much. And it all starts with him. And the Panthers then drove to a field goal, long field goal, take a 13-7 lead at halftime. Into the third quarter, again, the Vikings aren't really doing much on offense. Cousins isn't playing great. Panthers are moving the ball, and they're inside the Vikings 30, inside the 20. And fortunately for the Vikings, Harrison Smith shows up and makes, as I said, the play of the season thus far.
Clock dwindling down. He'll get it off. Young being tracked down. The ball comes out, and it's picked up by Wonnum. DJ Wonnum rumbling inside the 20. He'll go all the way to the house.
Just a huge turnaround. You go from 13-7 to up 14-13. And just things look dismal at that point before that play. As I said, the Panthers are certainly in field goal range with a chance to go up 9 mid-third quarter. That was just a huge, huge play. And the Vikings followed that up with, again, moving the ball, stopping the Panthers. And Cam Akers, we talked about before, here's one of his good plays on a little swing pass.
Cousins, play action. Tons of time. Now screen pass to Akers as he scampers out of bounds.
And Jeff, I know this is the first really iteration a lot of Vikings fans have seen of Cam Akers in purple. It's his first time out, making a Vikings debut. Do you expect maybe the share to get a little more 50-50 as time progresses? Because there was 17-5 carries in favor of Alexander Mattison in the two head-to-head there. That Cam Akers had one more catch than Alexander Mattison. Do you think that workload is going to be spread a little evenly between those two?
Yeah, I think it'll change a little bit. I think Mattison will get the heavier load still, as long as he doesn't fumble the ball, as happened early in the season, and he doesn't drop passes, which was happening. But he had a very good day yesterday, 95 yards rushing on 17 carries. So I think Alex is back on track, which is good. He's a good player. And as I said, they're different styles. Mattison more of a power push ahead, not necessarily the nifty moves. Akers has more moves, a little bit more quickness and agility. So they're a good 1-2 combination, and I think we will see more of Akers in that situation. So this particular drive was culminated by a touchdown pass on a play that the Panthers jumped offside. Cousins recognized it, and Jefferson has one-on-one coverage, and here's what resulted.
The final play of the quarter. Could be a freebie. Cousins to the end zone. It is caught. Jefferson for another touchdown.
That was one of Kirk's better plays of the day, certainly. And at that point, the Vikings are up 21-13, looking good. And as we head to the fourth quarter, but before we go to the last couple highlights, let's talk about our great sponsor, GMC. GMC continues its commitment to professional-grade engineering, like offering the world's first available 6-function multi-pro tailgate on Sierra. This tailgate takes innovation to the next level with 6 distinct functions that let you load, unload, and access the cargo box quicker and easier. Or get behind the wheel of the GMC Sierra Heavy Duty with an available Allison 10-speed transmission. The list goes on, but it's more than just innovative engineering. It's knowing GMC is committed to professional-grade excellence on every level. We are professional-grade GMC. Well-qualified buyers step up to GMC with 0.9% APR on 2023 Sierra light-duty models, plus no monthly payments until 2024. See your select Minnesota GMC dealers. Length of contract limited, deferred monthly payments for 120 days, excludes residents of Pennsylvania and Maine, must finance with GM Financial, down payment required at signing, if applicable. Finance charges accrue from date of financing. Some customers will not qualify, not available with lease, and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 10/16/23. So we're into the fourth quarter. Vikings hanging on to the lead. Defense is stepping up in this game. Certainly, it was advantageous to be facing a rookie quarterback in Bryce Young in his essentially third start as a quarterback in the NFL. And I think Bryce Young will get better and better, but he held the ball a little bit too long. And here was one particular instance. This was a sack by Marcus Davenport, who we talked about earlier.
Clock winding down. They'll get the snap off in time. Young feeling pressure. Tracked down from behind and sacked for the second time by Davenport.
Now, I'll say this about Marcus Davenport. I was not really impressed with him. Watching him at training camp, doing my training camp reports, and checking him out, and it just didn't really seem to have a real high motor during camp. But obviously when the lights came on in regular season, once he was healthy, it's a different Marcus Davenport. The key is going to be keeping him healthy. He missed several games with the Saints last year, only had a half a sack. He's already doubled that this year, which is a good thing for the Vikings. So at this point, again, the Vikings up 21-13 in the game. Cousins, the Vikings get the ball back, have a really bad 3-and-out with about 12 minutes to go, and Cousins on 3rd and 2 threw a ball way out of bounds trying to hit Justin Jefferson. Just a bad throw. I thought it was a bad call in that situation, just get the 2 yards, get the first down, keep the defense off the field. AJ, in the fourth quarter, defense was on the field for 12 and a half minutes on a hot day in Charlotte, while the offense was only out there for 2.5 minutes, yet the defense still was able to hang on and deliver the victory, which was secured on this particular sack, Harrison Smith's career-high 3rd sack of the day.
Empty set. Young. Sack from behind, and that'll do it. It's Harrison Smith again.
Is it safe to say that you can make an argument that this was Harrison Smith's best game of his career?
I don't know that you say that, because he's had 2 interception games. He's had 2 interception games with several forced fumbles. I remember the opener against San Francisco many years ago where he had a fantastic game. So I think certainly for a safety, making interceptions, perhaps a little more impactful than a sack, but in this particular game, the sacks were super impactful. I would say it's certainly in his top 5 list, let's put it that way.
All right.
And as I said, player of the week for the Vikings, a huge game. As we talked before, the Vikings running game was impressive. Their time of possession, not impressive. Sustaining drives, a point of emphasis for Kevin O'Connell going into this Chiefs game. And O'Connell talked to the media after the game about the victory. First win of the season for the Vikings.
Something that just felt good, again, to hear those guys in the locker room post-game, celebrating a victory on the road when, all our team has done all year long, regardless of the result, is just continue to trust in their preparation, continue to lean in even more on each other, and the type of game it was today. Huge complimentary football from our defense, picking us up. Had another low red touchdown or interception that resulted directly into points early, and those guys fought off that feeling of woe is me or here we go again. We just weren't going to have it, and we found a way to piece together a complimentary win against a good young team, and a team that flies around out there, and they were trying to get their first win as well. But can't say enough about, Flo and his group, the way they were on the field a lot. It was a hot day. They were on the field a lot. And when we had to have them, Harrison Smith, just unbelievable performance today. Does not surprise me one bit. He's somebody who I lean on constantly. One of my all-time favorites. And when we had to have it, he was at his best today among a lot of other of our defensive performers. That was really exciting.
And let's hear from Kirk Cousins talking about the problem early in the game and wanting to sustain drives.
Very, very frustrating to throw that interception. Poor read, and then when you're late to the flat, then the ball's left inside when you're late, and it was then it compounds, and then obviously the place on the field, he's able to take it back for a touchdown. So very disappointing play by me. And then just got to give a lot of credit to our defense for the way that they kept us in the game, made plays, scored a touchdown, created pressure. Harrison Smith was phenomenal, pressuring. Obviously Bryce is very good, when there is a free runner of making a miss, and Harrison was able to hold on and bring him to the ground a couple times. It's not an easy play to make. We made some explosive plays here and there. Got to be sustaining drives more. Didn't stay on the field enough. I feel like starting fast is a point of emphasis now, and I felt like we did start fast. I felt like we got down to the 1 yard line or whatever it was inside the 5, and then thought we scored, and then had a couple penalties, and then obviously the interception. So it was good to see us move the football in that opening drive, but can't have it end the way it did.
And we talked before, as Kirk talked about the big play by Harrison Smith and DJ Wan picking up the fumble, running in for the touchdown. Let's hear from DJ.
Kept falling short each and every week, but we got the win today. We played together, offensively, defensively, and special teams. So just getting that win today was big for this team, and we're going to keep this thing going.
In those situations, how do you decide whether it's on it or take it to field and score?
Oh, no, I should have had the pick six in the beginning, so I said I'm going to score a touchdown. Some way. I'm going to get in the end zone one way or another, so I scooped it up. I was running. I looked at the jumbotron, and it looked like somebody was catching up to me. I hope I wasn't getting caught, man, so I had to curb it just a little bit. Hicks made the big block, and I got in the end zone, so that was that.
I love that mindset by a defensive player because they get so little opportunities to actually find themselves in the end zone. So when he blows that first one, should have had the pick six, he's like, I'm doing it at some point today. He ends up with the scoop and score with the assist from Harrison Smith. You got to love a guy who's able to recognize that goal and then have that in the back of his mind the rest of the game, like, we're going to do it, we're going to do it. And then he finally does it.
Yeah, it was a little bit of redemption for DJ, certainly after the ball that he had a chance to intercept. It wasn't an easy play for a defensive lineman, but
no.
But he actually is an outside linebacker now, so he needs to have the good hands to be able to make that play. And let's hear from Harrison Smith on his huge day and in particular that great touchdown.
Sure, like if your number's called, make a play. That's kind of what we've been talking about the last few weeks. We've had some opportunities that we just really didn't make on defense. And not one guy, it was kind of a collection of all of us. And today we were like, if your number's called, make it. And that's really, that's the difference. Yeah, something like this. It's not always going to be 3 sacks, but creating pressure in different ways, playing coverage in different ways. Like, it wasn't all just pressure. So yeah, I think today we did a good job of mixing it up and then giving Flo confidence in certain calls here and there. And it was really like just everybody was kind of executing our job. It wasn't anything special. Like this game, I get the stats, whatever. Like it doesn't matter who gets them. It just whoever gets to play, make it, and then we'll move on. And that's really all it needs to be.
Nice to hear the music playing. Guys are having fun, smiling in the locker room, as O'Connell said. And it's certainly a different atmosphere. I was in, fortunately, more winning locker rooms than losing locker rooms, but I could tell you, AJ, it's a lot more fun in the winning locker room. And you could see they were enjoying the victory, but it's going to be short-lived when they start looking at tape of the Kansas City Chiefs coming in this coming Sunday. Even though the Chiefs were not great in terms of their effort on Sunday night against the Jets, not a great game for them, but they are certainly a formidable opponent as the defending Super Bowl champs.
From a coaching or like a front office perspective, how long do you allow the team after that 0-3 start to maybe relish and celebrate the win? Do you give them the time they leave the facility, the rest of the night? Does that continue into Monday morning, Monday morning a little bit, or when does it say, all right, we're looking at the Chiefs next week?
Yeah, it's the 24-hour rule in the NFL. 24 hours, you can either enjoy or suffer from the previous game, and then you move on, and you have to do that unless you lose in the playoffs. And I guess I always had a 72-hour rule then because then it's, oh, my goodness, you got to suffer that one for a while. And I guess I'm still suffering from the 1998 championship game lost to Atlanta, and it's been, almost 20-some years later. So some games last longer than others. But meanwhile, before we talk a little bit more about what happened around the NFL yesterday, look ahead to the Chiefs, let's hear from GMC.
GMC continues its commitment to professional-grade engineering in the GMC Truck Series, like offering the world's first available 6-function multi-pro tailgate on Sierra. Try the GMC Canyon with powerful and innovative features engineered and built for all your adventures to come. Or get behind the wheel of the GMC Sierra Heavy Duty with an available Allison 10-speed transmission. The list goes on, but it's more than just innovative engineering. It's knowing GMC is committed to professional-grade excellence on every level. We are professional-grade. GMC. Well-qualified buyers step up to GMC with 0.9% APR on 2023 Sierra light-duty models. Plus, no monthly payments until 2024. See your local GMC dealer today. Length of contract limited. Deferred monthly payments for 121 days. Excludes residents of Pennsylvania and Maine. Must finance with GM Financial. Down payment required at signing if applicable. Finance charges accrue from data financing. Some customers will not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 10/2/23.
So as we look ahead and as we look back a little bit more, there are a couple of things the Vikings, I'm sure Kevin O'Connell will be talking about with the team even after this win. Penalties were costly. The Vikings had several big penalties, including, I mentioned before, the Oliver hold that negated a touchdown pass to Jefferson, several other penalties. in the game. Also need to improve on third down. They were only 1 of 8 in this game. Did have a big fourth down conversion on a touchdown drive. But those are things they need to clean up, and I'm sure Kevin O'Connell will be talking about that heading into this big game against Kansas City. We talk about the Chiefs, AJ, and the Chiefs were not extremely impressive in their Sunday night game, as I mentioned, against the Jets. Mahomes threw 2 bad interceptions, very surprising. He's got a suspect wide receiver group. I think they're missing Juju Smith-Schuster from last year, the leading receiver, even Tyreek Hill from the year before. They don't have the weapons at wide receiver they've had in the past. Kadarius Toney had 3 drops in the opening loss to the Lions when Travis Kelce was out. Kelce's still obviously a great, great player, first-team All-Pro. Isaiah Pacheco actually carried the Chiefs' offense against the Jets, and so the Vikings' run defense will be tested in this game. What will really be interesting to me is to see how Brian Flores plays this one. Because if he thinks he's going to go after Mahomes as he did Justin Herbert and blitz on 80+% of the plays, it's going to be a bad day for the Vikings defense, because Patrick Mahomes is so great at extending plays, at using his feet, running. He had 51 yards rushing last night. He's a guy that if you blitz at your own peril, now you've got to mix in a few things, and that's what the Vikings do. And they definitely want to keep Harrison Smith in the mix coming off that great game. But they do have to be careful with Mahomes, and especially with a receiver core that I think they can cover. Maybe they figure they can cover him one-on-one, some of these guys, and do some blitzing. But Mahomes' ability to escape pressure, scramble around, extend plays, and find Kelce, it's very problematic. So that's going to be, I think, one of the most interesting things this week, and also to see how Kirk Cousins bounces back from a bad game, and if they can keep the running game going, if they make some changes on the offensive line, if Bradbury gets back in, if Reisner makes his first appearance, if they can keep running the ball, when the Chiefs have a first-team All-Pro defensive tackle in Chris Jones. It should be, as I said, a great atmosphere at US Bank Stadium come Sunday late afternoon, and we will look forward to that game. Looking around the NFL briefly in Sunday's action, the big game of the day, Buffalo hammered the Dolphins. It just seems to be, AJ, if you're the it team of the week, it's kind of a problem for you. And 2 weeks ago it was Dallas. Everybody, whoa, they got the best defense in the league, and they're great, this great team, and they're undefeated. And they go to Arizona, they're terrible, and Arizona beats them by 12. And then on Sunday, Miami's supposed to be this great team, scored 70 points against Denver, and they go into Buffalo, and the Bills hammer them 48-20. Josh Allen was fantastic, 320 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. Stephon Diggs, 120 yards receiving, 3 touchdown receptions. So the Bills are hot now, and could they be the next it team to be taken down because they have to play Jacksonville in London on Sunday? Or could it be the Eagles or the 49ers, who are both unbeaten still, but they both have interesting matchups this week, and so we'll see what happens. The Eagles have the Rams, who are one of the surprise teams in the league this year so far, and the 49ers are going to face the Cowboys on Sunday night. So there are a lot of things that can happen, and it just goes to show, really, the talent level in the league is fairly even. The difference is really quarterbacks and impactful players, and guys like Harrison Smith and Justin Jefferson, Daniil Hunter, Marcus Davenport when he's in the lineup, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. Those are the kind of guys that make a difference. But otherwise, anybody can beat anybody, especially when there are injuries in place. And so, as we said, Detroit's still leading the NFC North at 3-1, have the Panthers this week. Then things get a little tougher going to Tampa Bay and Baltimore, 2 division leaders after that. The Packers are in trouble with their offensive line banged up, and they had to play the Raiders on Monday night. That's going to be a challenge for them against Max Crosby, who's one of the top sackers in the league. The Vikings, Kansas City Chiefs, this coming Sunday should be an exciting game. The Vikings are going to have to play turnover. I'm not going to say turnover free, but it's about time they win the turnover battle, which they've lost now 4 straight games. Yeah. Yesterday, 2-1 in favor of Carolina. You can't do that against the Super Bowl champs and expect to come away with a win. That will be a big challenge for them. Win that turnover battle and try to contain Mahomes as much as you can. Keep the offense on the field to keep Mahomes off the field. Those are things that have to happen. So we'll be back next Monday, and we'll break it all down. Vikings and the Kansas City Chiefs. And this has been Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, brought to you every Monday by your Select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers on 1500 ESPN, available 24/7 on YouTube via links from the 1500 ESPN and Score North websites. This is Jeff Diamond with AJ Fredrickson, and we will talk to you next Monday.